All right, so now let's move on to processes. If we understand our purpose and we understand who our prospects are, it is really important that we define the processes inside of our organization. And I'll tell you that this one exercise on processes should permeate throughout your entire organization. I'll give you a process, but it is not indicative of the only process. You need to have process for how you acquire customers. You need to have process for how you dispo properties. You need to have processes for how you rent properties, for how you go and order supplies if you're a developer, for how you do inspections on properties, for how you go and do analysis and underwrite a property. There should be a process that is documented everywhere. Now, how do you document process? I will come back to that in just a minute, but let's talk about what a process looks like. You need to spell out step by step, as if you were explaining it to your 15-year-old son or daughter, on exactly what needs to go down so that you get a predictable outcome over and over and over. In recording this video right here, my videographer and I, we have a process. There is a checklist. There are certain things we're going down, whether it's the lights, whether the setting, where the camera needs to be, markings on the ground of exactly where cameras, all the equipment needs to be set up. There's a process in place so that we know we get a predictable result every single time. The more you don't document processes, I want you to understand, the more you are literally putting yourself in a situation where all decisions have to run through you. And that is not freedom. Remember the outcome we're looking for here. We are trying to build an empire. We are trying to scale a business, build a business so that we can escape the grind. The more of it that has to run through you, all the decision making, it might make you feel like you are important, but actually you are, and I'll be very careful how I say this, it is the lowest form of an entrepreneur that is out there, of a CEO is out there, if every decision has to come through them. It is indicative of poor management, poor leadership, people who clearly ego is in the way of them actually accomplishing anything close to what they are capable of accomplishing. You need to wear it as a badge of honor every single time you fire yourself out of a position. You want the ability to get to do things inside of your organization. You don't want to have to do anything. There's a big difference, and I would invite you to write that down. You want to put yourself in a situation where you don't have to do anything, where you get to do everything. Anything that lights you up. You might be passionate about marketing. You might be passionate about walking to properties. You might be passionate about the acquisition side or the disposition side or doing lists. You might be passionate about it. Where you want to put yourself in a situation where you don't have to do it, where you get to do it, where you've set up an organization, you've surrounded yourself with people, leverage, processes, all the things around you that allow you to earn substantial income, whether you show up or not. That is the beginning of freedom. Processes are the things you put in place, the workflows that you put in place that create a predictable outcome. I'm gonna tell you, walk you through exactly how to start a process. If you're sitting in your office right now and you have a sheet of paper, or you might even have a whiteboard, I would invite you to go all the way to the right-hand side of that whiteboard. And let's say you're flipping a house. Wholesaling a house, for lack of it, let's just make it simple. I would tell you to put a box down there that says, this is money getting deposited in my bank, because that's the end result. When money gets deposited in my bank, that's kind of the end of the transaction. Then invite you to work backwards from there, again, starting with the destination in mind. What is the step right before that? What happened right before the money went into your bank account? Well, clearly you reviewed the HUD and signed the docs. Right? And what happened right before that? You were probably emailed the docs and reviewed them and made any corrections, any changes that need to be made. Right before that, you probably made a phone call to the title company to make sure all wires were in and everything was there and ready to go. Right before that, you probably talked to the title company to make sure that to follow up to make sure you were still on for the closing date in a few days, and the seller was showing up, the buyers were showing up, everything was still on track. Right before that, you probably got the documents back from your buyer, where you assigned the documents and got their escrow money and made sure it was being, and so you just work backwards. Now, why do you do it that way instead of the other way? The way the human mind works, if we go left to right in a process, we will easily blow through steps, just natural. We all do this. If I ask you today, hey, how do you do what you do? I go talk to sellers, I get their house, we agree on a price, I sign the docs, I take it over to the title company, I sign the contract to a buyer, and then I get paid. Well, there's about 45 steps in between there that you just blew right through. But if you work backwards, you're making your brain work in reverse, which then means you have to actually think logically. You can see I was just doing it a second ago, and it will help you document that entire process. Now, if you put that on a whiteboard, you can easily take a picture of that, go to Upwork, have somebody put it into a PowerPoint for you or a PDF for you very simply. You can take that entire document, have it put into a working document and load it up into a piece of software called 𝐦𝐨𝐬𝐤, which is a housing system for training manuals and employee manuals. I mean, it's very, very straightforward. It works very similar to like a blog or a membership site works, where all your employees or anybody you hire, there's this one place where all the documents are. If you don't want to do that, then very simply, if it's on your whiteboard, turn your video camera on your phone, stand in front of the whiteboard, record yourself talking through each one of these steps and the importance of it. As you're looking at the board, you're recording effectively a training video right there. You have that training video. You can take that and have it transcribed. You can use a service like rev.com, rev.com, have the entire thing transcribed, and that'll be done in 24 hours. So in 24 hours, you'll have a training video and the transcription. You can take that transcription, put it right into the description of the video, and put that video into a private playlist inside of YouTube. Basically a private YouTube channel that is only for your employees. Basically, they have the links right to it. You can do the exact same thing in a private Facebook group, by the way. And when you do that, you now have the beginnings of a process. Every time you do anything in your organization, turn your camera on. This is what we do when I go through and I underwrite a property. Record your screen, turn your camera on. This is what we do when I go walk a property and inspect it. This is what the process is when I get on the phone and I'm doing cold calling. This is the process for how I clean up my data. This is the process for how I go and find properties in the MLS. Whatever it is, record yourself, send it to rev.com, get the transcription, go load it into a private YouTube channel, go load it in Facebook, and you now have started documenting processes. The benefit of that is that as you start to hire people, the biggest challenges that we have as we get trapped into this is thinking, I can't slow down to hire people. I can't slow down to train people. Nobody's gonna care as much as I do. All you have to do to train somebody is go point them to this private YouTube channel or private Facebook channel. 90% of the heavy lifting of what you want them trained on, you've already recorded it. And it didn't cost you $1, and it didn't cost you any extra time. All you were doing was recording yourself doing it. If you're recording yourself underwriting a property or finding a property, narrate the video. Have a video set over your shoulder or record your screen. I am logging into the MLS. Here are my login credentials. Here's the username. Here is the password. The very first thing I do is I go and I click on this region. I click on this button, click on these filters. I'm looking for 3-bedroom, 2-bath in zip code 92037. Whatever it is, that's the process. And you now have the training video. We get caught in a trap telling ourselves that we can't make time for this. And that's the trap of mediocrity, because you will make that true. That's your truth. That is not the truth. The truth is something very different. The truth is that people do this every single day. There's nothing unique about you. There's nothing unique about me. As Gandhi says, action determines priority. And so if you actually take action and do these types of things, you are determining that your priority is to become free, to become financially free, to become a CEO. While you tell yourself you can't, you'll make that real. As a side note, one of the most powerful things I can tell you, if you want to change and you want to really scale a business, remove 2 words from your vocabulary immediately. The words can't and cannot. Stop telling yourself you can't or cannot do anything. If you want to be honest with yourself as an entrepreneur, replace those 2 words with I choose not to, because that's what you're really saying. Whether I choose not to record training videos, I choose not to slow down and create a process, I choose not to identify my purpose, I choose not to understand who my customers are, I choose not to make this a priority, I choose not to make my family a priority, I choose not to figure out a way to get more time out of my day so I could go spend it with my family. That's what you're doing. And when you use choose not to versus can't or cannot, as entrepreneurs, that doesn't feel good to us, because we like to own our outcome. We like to envision ourselves as being powerful people. And so when you are very honest with yourself and you don't play the role of a victim by using victim words like can't and cannot, you use words like I choose not to, you're being honest with yourself. And the moment you're really honest with yourself, it won't feel good and you will start changing. And it doesn't matter whether you're trying to lose weight or quit smoking or whatever it is, when we tell ourselves, I can't lose weight, it's not true. I choose not to. That's not gonna feel good, and it will change the behavior. So when it comes to processes, don't tell yourself you can't do this. You choose to just turn the camera on and make time for this over and over and over. And the benefit of it is I will never have to slow down to train one person. If anybody was ever to come buy your company, by the way, one of the very first places they're gonna go is they want to see your processes. They wanna see the documentation. They wanna see something in 𝐦𝐨𝐤𝐤. They wanna see something in YouTube. They wanna see something in Facebook. They wanna know their standard operating procedures for the company. They wanna know how you produce an outcome over and over and over. over. So if you're serious about operating at any kind of level, this is a must. This is not a choice. This must be done. So I would invite you, again, define your processes for acquiring a customer. Define your processes for how you're running ads, for every single thing. Define your processes for how you pick where you go on vacation or how you pay your kids their allowance. The more process-oriented you are, the more freedom you will naturally create.